Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. Then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve.
What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today, for the first time since I announced that Roy Blunt, actually decided to retire, we're finally talking about the Missouri Senate race for 2022. I know, it's been a year since we talked about this race, and again, this race, surprisingly, is a very entertaining race. There's a lot of memes going around this race, and a lot of shit posts, a lot of that good stuff. It is actually a good primary, as in there's a lot of good candidates, and it's not like this one big dumpster fire where it's like Ohio, where there's like one good candidate, and it's like 6 crappy candidates, or it's like Pennsylvania, where it's like there's 30 candidates that have like equal support. It's a mess. You get the point. In a nutshell, Missouri is one of those races there where I actually wanted to talk about for a while now, but compared to what's happening in Alabama, Pennsylvania, etc., it didn't really seem that important, but some recent news came out of Missouri that it's too big that I cannot just ignore it. So today we're going to be talking about Missouri's Senate election. Now before I forget, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes, I hope you enjoy these videos because we're continuing the daily uploads, and for a couple days, you're going to notice there may be 2 to 3 videos a day for a couple days here and there. I won't be saying much about it, but good chance that may be happening. Anyway, so Missouri is one of those states where years ago, like 10, 15, even 20 years ago, it was the bellwether of old bellwethers. I mean, Missouri, Ohio is known as a bellwether. Missouri predicted more elections for president than Ohio did. Missouri was just this perfect bellwether where whoever won it won the election. As for Ohio, Ohio was known as no Republican has ever won the general election without winning Ohio. As for Missouri, it's whoever wins Ohio or Missouri won the election. So the point is this: Missouri is one of those states where it used to be a bellwether. There's a lot of blue dog Dems in the state. There's a lot of working class voters in the state of Missouri. In recent years, though, it has become, Republican stronghold. Again, there's people claiming that, Missouri's gonna trend 20 points Democrat because of, Orange Man bad. It's like, shut up. That's not gonna happen. And people really think this Senate election is gonna be competitive. When I first heard people really think this race would be close, I died of laughter. I thought that was a meme. I thought that was a joke. Well, some people really believe, oh, look at this. Look at what happened in 2016. Roy Blunt only won by 3 points or less than 3 points. It's over. Well, here is the catch for this race. Roy Blunt was probably the worst candidate to ever run a Senate election in the state of Missouri for the Republicans. Yeah, they have Josh Hawley. He's a really good guy. Roy Blunt is just awful. Roy Blunt was awful. He always ran crappy campaigns, ran against, weaker Democrats, but still the race was always within 3 points. It's like, really? You look at some of these places where Roy Blunt, did awful in. I mean, look at this. Clay County, Platte County, I think that's how you say those counties, Clay County especially. Roy Blunt got 44%. The same time the Orange Man got 51%. And this is one of those counties that should be seen as, a suburban county of Missouri, of Kansas City. It's like, really? And you go to St. Charles County, one of those counties that people are saying, it's trending Democrat, it's a Democrat county, behold. Trump got 60% here. Roy Blunt got 52%. Even St. Louis City, Blunt got 15%. The Orange Man got 15.7%. You get the point. That the point is, Missouri is one of those states that is not going Democrat. Whoever the Republican nominee is, they're going to win by a lot. I mean, Trump won the state by almost 20 in 2016. As for Blunt, he only won it by like 2 or 3 points. And the same thing happened in 2010. He barely won it. And that was because of some shenanigans that happened. It's just a joke. And this proves my point that these people that really think the Republicans need to be moderates, they need to be more establishment, all this crap. Roy Blunt was, this moderate dude that, had an awful voting record, was quote-unquote bipartisan, and he nearly lost twice. One being in 2010, in a red wave year. I mean, it's a joke. So this kind of proves my point that these establishment shills, these quote-unquote moderates, who they're not moderates, by the way, these neocon-esque Republicans, they're only like 2% of the voting base. And thankfully, the candidates Republicans do have this cycle, none of the major candidates are like neocon-esque. They're either, good or just Giga Chad based. So we gotta look at the 4 candidates that have a serious chance of winning the nomination. Eric Greitens. This is the guy that I'm making a video for. This is why I'm making this video. You know why? Hear what happened a couple days ago with a court case, his former wife and stuff. Essentially, she's alleging that, he's an abusive father and he's this awful guy. Again, when it comes to the family court stuff, I just ignore it because there's a lot of shit that goes on in family courts. It's disgusting. There's a lot of horse shit that gets said. It's a lie. It's a scam. There's a lot of stuff that happens. But again, it is a bad look no matter what you do. And again, it sucks that's how our system works. But again, it's just a fact. That's what happens. As for the other candidates, you got Vicky Hartzler, who is a former House representative, and she's okay. I mean, she has an okay voting record. It's questionable if that's because, the direction the party turned, or it's just, her actual voting habits. But still, it's like, she has an interesting past. Like 10 years ago, again, I don't look much into it, but again, it's very suspect, some of the things she voted on like 10 years ago. But yeah, she's not awful. She's still a good, candidate. I just think that of the 4, she's probably the worst. I mean, she looks okay on some of the issues, just her past voting record and some things I really do not trust. Also, you got Billy Long, and Billy Long is another guy that has a weird voting record. I mean, it's weird, but essentially, like, he's okay. I mean, he's better than Hatzler, in my opinion. In fact, there's rumors going around Trump's going to endorse him. I mean, there was a statement Trump put out yesterday. I'm like, is Trump seriously going to endorse this guy? But the point is, he's not awful again. He's okay. As for the 4th candidate, you got Eric Schmidt. And Eric Schmidt has a unique resume. Now, originally I despised this guy. I heard some things about him that turned out to be false. This guy is actually pretty good on all the issues that I'm aware of. Again, if there's something I don't know about, just tell me in the comments down below. But what I've heard is he's actually pretty good on the issues. So there's really 2 candidates I would say are great candidates, and there's 2 that I would say are okay to good. Eric Greitens and Eric Schmidt are the 2 best candidates, while the other 2 are kind of just okay to good. Again, those 2 other candidates I don't think are bad. If they somehow get the nomination, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's a bit, bit strange on some of the things they've said in the past, but they're not awful again. So, with that all the way, who's actually going to win this race? It's really, in my opinion, between Schmidt and Greitens. Now, if Trump endorses Long or something like that, then he may win the nomination by default. But the other 2, though, I think are, the real candidates. Now, the polls have Hatzler at, 2nd place most of the time, or I should say around 20%. I think that may be a bit too much. Closer to like 15% would be more accurate. As with Eric Schmidt, he's around 22, 23%. That may be a bit low, but as of now, that's what appears to be the frontrunners. Eric Greitens, and then Eric Schmidt. Now, according to the polls, Greitens has won every single poll except 1. I mean, most of the polls are from Trafalgar, Remington, CMA Strategies, Fabrizio, one of the best pollsters in the country, all have Greitens with a decent enough lead in the state. Now, again, Eric Schmidt is around 20 to 23%. Now, the question is this: who would I support? And this is a huge topic happening with the right now. I mean, it's a debate over who you support better, Schmidt or Greitens. Now, I usually like to look at endorsements, see who's endorsing the person. Greitens is getting some interesting endorsements. I mean, you got Michael Flynn, you got freaking Gorka, again, Sebastian, just this guy I do not like. I hate him with my he's not good. Then you got Dennis Prager in here. Then you got Kimberly. God, it's like the endorsements here just signal that this is not good. I mean, Greiden's, again, he has a good record. Just some of these endorsements I really do not trust. As for Hatzler, she has some decent endorsements. I mean, you got Backman, you got Marshall, who are good enough. You got Hawley, who's great. But as of now, it's like, okay, Hatzler, she has some endorsements, but outside of, Hawley, it's like these guys are okay. It's like, okay. But then you look at Eric Schmidt, and he has one endorsement in particular that I'm a big fan of. Peter Thiel. Now, everybody on the right has a big misunderstanding about Peter Thiel. Is he a rich billionaire that's gay? Yes. That's just a fact. But the thing is, he's actually, better on the issues than most Republicans. Again, I'm against the whole, LGBT stuff, but it's like, outside of that, Peter Thiel, I mean, he's one of the more populist-esque people in the world. I mean, he's endorsing, J.D. Vance, Blake Masters, and again, it's weird that, he was a venture capitalist. I mean, he was in tech for years. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, the most base person ever could be a, venture capitalist. That doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that most of the time, venture capitalists tends to be more left. Thiel, not so much. He is pretty good on the issues, has some base stuff in the past, and usually when he endorses somebody, that is the gold mine. That means the candidate's awesome. So Eric Schmidt has his endorsement, and he also has Ted Cruz's endorsement, which again, Cruz, at times he looks good, just sometimes he looks awful. So the point is this, in this race, if I had to vote for somebody, I think I would, I think Eric Schmidt, has better endorsements. It looks like he has better people around him. Just Greiden's, I think, has a better record. It's just who you pick. It's like, I think I have to lean with Schmidt if he has the Peter Thiel endorsement. Now, if I'm missing something about Schmidt, like he has a bad, case or something like that as Attorney General, tell me in the comments down below. But from what I know, Schmidt appears to be the best candidate in this race. And if Ulf is right, he could be seriously the nominee. Now, if Trump endorses Long, this race just goes upside down. I mean, Long's at like, what, 6-7%? It would just be weird if he did that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share it with friends, hit the little bell, and yes, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.